weird part here is the run game. DeMarco Murray's been up and down, and Derrick Henry doesn't get enough touches. This is supposedly a run-first offense, but you can't trust either back. The Titans are like the anti-Saints. You want to love both of these guys, but you can't trust either one. At this point, Murray is a low-end RB2 option, and that's about it. There have been, according to that sign over there by the door, 66 episodes of this show before today, and yet not once has Matthew Berry or his merry band of puppets discussed left tackles.
Whoa, whoa, whoa there, new guy. You know, I love the general vibe you got going on here. You got a full head of hair, unlike Berry. I'm pretty sure millennials like that. But did I just hear you say you were going to talk about an offensive lineman?
Absolutely. It's one of the most important positions in the league, and it definitely has an impact on fantasy. Didn't you see The Blind Side?
Yeah, whatever, kid. Just do me a favor. If you're going to talk about them, just call them offensive LeBron men.
But that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, similar to you hosting this show, pal.
Message received, boss. Cowboys offensive LeBronman Tyron Smith could be out again this week, and that mattered last week when Dallas couldn't protect Dak Prescott and didn't even try running to the left side. Since they drafted Tyron Smith in 2011, the Cowboys are averaging almost a half yard less per carry when he's not on the field. We will talk more about him later with Stephania Bell, but in the meantime, know that Albert Morris or the rest of the Cowboys running backs could be risky plays in fantasy. Trent Williams, Washington's big left tackle, did play last week after missing the previous 2 games, but his knee is killing him and he's week to week. If he is out on Sunday against the Saints, that whole offense takes a big step back. Remember that Rob Kelly is already out, and I don't think you can feel super confident yet with Samaje Perine or, in this case, against that tough Saints defense, Chris Thompson either. When the Seahawks acquired Dwayne Brown last month, he was supposed to fix their issue at left tackle. But now, he's a game-time decision for Sunday. And that makes the decision on Seattle's backfield even easier. Do not play Thomas Rawls or any other backs Seattle rolls out there. They probably won't have any more impact on this Sunday's NFL action than LeBron. My absolute personal favorite thing about fantasy football is the trades. So I'm going to talk about my favorite thing since this show traded Matthew Berry for me today, and Daniel Dopp has apparently been put on the waiver wire / killed off by and replaced by a bear that tells bad jokes.
Buzzing.
So, with the fantasy trade deadline coming up next Wednesday in ESPN.com leagues, let's talk about some guys you should go get or get rid of before it's too late. First up for me is Michael Thomas in New Orleans. He has not had the production most people would have expected this year, mainly because the Saints are running the ball so much, but he's getting a ton of targets. And some tough run defenses are coming up for the Saints, teams like Washington and Carolina. At some point, a Michael Thomas touchdown breakout game is coming. So get him now so that breakout comes while he's on your roster.
Trading.
One more for you, Bear. Next, Keenan Allen. 11th among wide receiver targets this season, but only wide receiver number 27 in fantasy points. That obviously has to come together at some point. There should be some positive regression. And the Chargers face the Chiefs and the Jets in weeks 15 and 16. If you're fortunate enough to still be playing in those weeks, you would be happy to start Keenan Allen against those defenses. And by the way, Phillip Rivers is available in nearly 40% of leagues, so consider adding him too.
Adding.
And finally, DeAndre Hopkins. Great player, but I think it's worth seeing what you can get for him. He faces top 5 defenses against wide receivers in the Ravens, Jaguars, and Steelers still to come this season. And this week, he has to contend with Patrick Peterson of the Cardinals. And every week, he has to contend with Tom Savage being his quarterback. So see if you can get something great for Hopkins before his value takes a little bit of a dip.
Dropping.
So look, this isn't what I usually do. By day, I'm an NFL insider for ESPN. I have contacts across the league, break news every once in a while, and I feel like I'm a fairly well-respected journalist who...
Hey, everybody, it's me, the Bear of Bad News, and I got some bad news for you, Mr. Dan Grazzi. Oh, no? You are hosting the least respected program in the entire ESPN family of networks. Buzzing! And because of that, you have to do embarrassing bits like playing F. Mary Chill Rams Vikings edition, my friend.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting to. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, you should have read the contract, buddy. First up, Vikings. Your options are Jerick McKinnon, Case Keenum, and Latavius Murray. Who are you going to friend? Who are you going to marry? And who are you going to chill on?
All right, well, since I apparently have no choice, I believe I will friend Jerick McKinnon, who could be a boom option if the Vikings need to throw to their backs to keep the pass rush off of Keenum, particularly in PPR leagues. I'm going to marry Latavius Murray. Rams are actually allowing the 5th most fantasy points per game to running backs, and Murray has at least 15 carries in each of the 5 games since starter Dalvin Cook got hurt. They want to run the ball with Murray. And I'm going to chill on the very cool Case Keenum story this week against a Rams team that's allowing the 4th fewest fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. Aaron Donald is no joke.
Not bad, Mr. Grand Piano. The Rams, here are your options. Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Jared Goff. Who are you going to friend? Who are you going to marry? And who are you going to chill on?
You know, no one's ever made a joke on my name my whole life. It's true. But that was a new one. Friend, Jared Goff. I have Jared Goff in a 2-quarterback league. It's been a lot of fun the last 2 weeks, but I don't think that's going to keep up against the Vikings. But Sean McVay is as red hot as a play caller, and I think he can dial up a big play or two early that saves Goff's day. Going to marry Cooper Kupp at the risk of making Matthew jealous, because I think in general the Rams are going to have to get the ball out more quickly this week against that Vikings pass rush. And I'm going to chill this week on Robert Woods because the way he's played lately, I think the Vikings just might use shutdown cornerback Xavier Rhodes on him a fair bit. Look, I could be wrong. Rhodes could go with Sammy Watkins and leave Woods against Trey Waynes, which would be good for Robert Woods. But if the Vikings have been watching Rams tape, and I will bet you they have, Woods would be the one who scares them right now. Coming up after the break, Anita Marks will be here along with our crystal ball puppet to predict Week 11 performances. Prediction. Now very pleased to be joined by Anita Marks for some crystal ball Week 11 pass catcher projections. Welcome to the show, Anita. And hello, Crystal. I'm a big fan, and it is a pleasure to finally meet you in person, or whatever it is that you are. How are you doing?
Oh, busy, Dan. I have so many balls up in the air right now.
Yeah, things can get a little crazy around the holidays. I know that.
Who said anything about the holidays? I just started dating the Hoopa triplets. They're a set of juggling balls.
I wonder how many of our viewers got that. Anyway, she apparently does this every single week. And we do the over-unders here. We will start with, as I said, some pass catchers. Looking at Kansas City's Tyreek Hill. What do you got, Crystal?
Eye of newt, toe of frog, heart of mouse that did squeak. I see 13.7 points for the Chiefs receiver named Tyreek.
All right, I say over for a number of reasons. Going up against the New York Football Giants, their secondary, you know this as much as I do. It's a complete mess. Janoris Jenkins, I think he's forgotten how to tackle. And I mean, it's not just Janoris Jenkins. It's the entire secondary. I think Alex Smith, I think the entire Kansas City. I'll play every single Kansas City a player this week against the Giants. On top of that, I really have a feeling Andy Reid's going to get creative here because the Giants, not only are they bad against the pass, they're not great against the rush. So I see Andy Reid utilizing Tyreek Hill not only in the passing game but in the rushing game as well. So I'm way over on this. I think he's going to be a fantasy football stud this week.
Scary with Andy Reid with extra time to plan. As we know, the Giants have allowed a league-high 19 catches of 30 or more yards. Tyreek Hill has 6 catches of 30 or more yards this week. That is a bad mix. I agree, and I say over. Let's stick with the wide receivers. Jarvis Landry of the Dolphins.
I usually spit hot fire for Berry and the squirrel named Dop. Today, I tell you, 14.4 points for Jarvis Landry, who's not a bum you should drop.
No. Obviously, you're just stretching for a rhyme. What do you think about Landry?
I'm going over here as well. I like the matchup, going up against the Tampa Bay Bucs, giving up the 2nd most fantasy football points to opposing wide receivers. And the matchup is against Vernon Hargreaves, who's dealing with a hamstring issue. He might not even get the start. I love Landry. He's getting a ton of targets from Jay Cutler and 5 touchdowns so far on the season.
Yeah.
So I'm going over with Landry this week.
Yeah, I'm just going to say under just because I don't believe in this Miami offense right now. I mean, Landry's going to get a lot of catches. As we know, if you got him in PPR, you can win with him that way. But so few yards, and if he doesn't score, I just wonder. The Dolphins not in a very good place offensively. So how do we feel about, Brandon Cooks of the New England Patriots? Crystal?
For this, I conjured research, watched film, even read books. And I see 13.7 points this week for Brandon Cooks.
How does she turn the pages in the books that she reads? Even if I don't get, well, that's for another show. What do you think about that?
I'm going over here. It's a great matchup against the Oakland Raiders. They rank 32nd against the pass and also 32nd against the deep pass. Passes over 15 yards or more. That is the Cookie Monster's wheelhouse. They're also 31st against #1 wide receivers. That's Brandon Cooks as well. 11 targets last week. I think he's gonna get a lot of volume. Hopefully, Tom Brady takes some shots downfield. I say over.
Yeah, I say over as well. The only two top 10 passing offenses the Raiders have faced this year are the Chiefs and Washington, and that averaged 391 passing yards per game in those two games, 6 touchdowns. Of course, the New England Patriots are the #1 passing offense. A bad matchup for the Raiders. Crystal, we got one more for you. Sterling Shepard of those red-hot New York Giants.
I predict 14.8 points will be in Sterling's plan. What do you think, Mr. Graziano? Wait for it. Comma, Dan.
We waited for it, and we're disappointed. Sterling Shepard is the #1 option in the Giants' passing offense, unless you really like Evan Ingram. I think high-volume guy. This is a team that throws at the goal line. You know, I think you like Sterling Shepard for a big game against a Kansas City defense that has been susceptible. Over for Sterling Shepard.
I'm with you. 22 targets the last 2 weeks. And also, I hate to say it, Giants fans who are watching the show, but I think the Giants are just going to be playing from behind the entire day. Like I said, I think Kansas City is just going to rip into this Giants defense. So you talk about garbage time, and that is really the points that Shepard's going to put up for you because they're going to be passing the ball, trying to catch up to the Kansas City offense. So I love Sterling Shepard this week.
That'll do it for Crystal. Have a good weekend, Crystal. Anita, thanks so much for joining us here on the Fantasy Show. Coming up next, Stefania Bell will be here with her injury minions to tell us which players have injury concerns this week. Yes, it's the segment where we always talk about Jordan Reed. See, the injury minions are here for Show Me Where It Hurts. That's the weird news. The good news is that Stefania Bell is here for Show Me Where It Hurts, and we're going to talk about some of the injury issues around the league. Stefania, let's start in Philadelphia with Alshon Jeffrey and his ankle.
And Alshon Jeffrey, no stranger to the injury report last year, but he's been pretty healthy this year. Wasn't there Wednesday coming out of the bye. Thursday shows up as limited. Doug Peterson said Friday not to worry. This is a minor ankle issue. They expect him to play on Sunday.
You mentioned he's missed 11 games the past 2 years due to injury or suspension. This is a Sunday night game, so it may be a situation where you have to have a backup option that's either in that game or the Monday night game. We'll see how things go with old Alshon. How about Phillip Rivers, the Chargers quarterback, who has been in the concussion protocol all week?
He has. You know, he self-reported his symptoms when he came into the facility Monday, and that's good news. That's what a player should do. But he was practicing by Wednesday, so the Chargers really encouraged by that. In full practice on Thursday, but it should be noted, no contact, not cleared for contact yet. So that still has to happen, has to be cleared by the independent neurological consultant in order to play. Anthony Lynn said he feels good about his chances, but the decision is up to the doctors.
185 straight starts, fourth longest quarterback streak in NFL history. Again, you mentioned full practice doesn't automatically mean he's going to play, but it would be strange not to see him out there. And then we did mention earlier in the show that this segment always includes a Jordan Reed reference. Still dealing with that hamstring? What's it looking like for him?
He makes Alshon Jeffrey look healthy. Jordan Reed has had so many injury issues, and now the hamstring has caused him to miss 2 consecutive weeks. And it looks like it will be this week as well. You know, he hasn't done much other than work on the side, and I thought his comments this week were very interesting. He said he injured the hamstring on deceleration, and he still feels a twinge in it when he slows down. He also said, we've just got to be smart this week. Consider that they play again on Thanksgiving Day. So if he's not 100%, another game 4 days later. Even if he comes down to a game-time decision, I don't feel great about it.
Tough guy to trust. Also, the Saints, by the way, number 4 against tight ends in fewest fantasy points allowed, so probably stay away from Jordan Reed. Leonard Fournette, the Jaguars running back, missed practice today, dealing with an ankle injury. What's going on there?
I know. This really came as a surprise because just yesterday, Fournette saying not a big deal with the ankle, seemed to be complaining more about the cold in Cleveland than worried about his ankle. Not practicing, so perhaps the team just letting him rest today, hoping he'll make it for the game. This is going to likely come down to how he looks on Sunday before the game. It sounds like, from what I'm told, it's leaning more towards he'll play than not, but game time decision, have a backup plan.
On Fournette, Stefania Bell, thanks very much for the injury scoop. Time now for a resume. Since week 5, each of these running backs averages 94 scrimmage yards per game, but the guy on the right